AI is the hot topic. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's either worried about it or excited about it.
What would you say to leaders who are struggling with this?
Training people on what AI is and is not, how to use AI in an effective way, and how to use it so that it's not replacing your thinking. It's just a tool.
Like, even if you did not read the terms, it's kind of like common sense.
Is it?
Isn't it?
I mean, your common sense might not be my common sense, Diana.
That's why it's common sense.
Gen Z and millennials are redefining leadership. In a digital-first world where self-branding, transparency, and meaning matter more than hierarchy, the traditional command and control leadership, well, it's just failing. This episode will explore how leaders can adapt, mentor, and build cultures where modern teams thrive. With me today is Diana, our producer and guide for this episode. She's collected some of the raw, real questions leaders and HR directors are asking behind the scenes. From confessions to curiosities, let's get honest about what it really means to lead culture today. Diana, take us in.
Yay! Okay, so we've received a few of your comments and questions. So here are some of the best ones we were able to gather. So an anonymous HRVP wrote, "We're introducing AI tools to increase productivity, and officially it's about efficiency. Unofficially, people are scared. They're petrified. I've had employees ask me privately, is this the step before layoffs?" And here's the question. How do we lead through AI adoption without destroying trust?
You know, AI is the hot topic. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's either worried about it or excited about it. Like, it seems to be this polarization in AI. And I think back to things that I know it's been compared to, like, well, the calculator or the internet. But AI has a little bit of a different feel to it because people feel like it could replace them, not just make them efficient. And I think part of that is the message that comes from leadership. So why are we infusing AI into the workplace? What is it that we're hoping to get from it? I think the transparency and honesty of leadership has to be there. I also think the big thing is training. So training people on what AI is and is not, how to use AI in an effective way, and how to use it so that it's not replacing your thinking. It's just a tool. Think of it as a cheerleader for you. Think of it as something that will help you maybe brainstorm or think through things, but not think for you. I want to use an example. I just finished my dissertation, and one of the things that I really admired my university for is that they trained us how to use AI to help us write our dissertation. And they gave us specific tools, specific things we could do, specific things we could not do.
Guidelines.
Right. And I really appreciated that because they recognize, look, AI is here and it's here to stay. So we've got to use it to be more efficient, but not replace humanity and the ability to think. So to answer this anonymous, right, I would say, look, yeah, it's a big fear. Everybody is afraid of this right now. It is the hottest topic everyone wants to talk about. But if we're not honest and vulnerable and transparent with our staff, of course they're going to be worried. Fear is the number one reason people don't share ideas in the workplace. So if they're afraid, what else are they going to do? But hunker down, hold on, and wait for their pink slip where now AI is going to replace them. The thing is you've got to make yourself irreplaceable. You've got to make yourself irreplaceable. If you know AI, you know how to use AI, then a leader would be lost without you.
And the question at its core is, how do we lead through AI adoption without destroying trust? Do you have specific tools or ideas on maybe a few things that they could do in-house to make sure that what you say, you build trust, that there's transparency? I think also efficacy. And I think also people can read, between the BS lines. Like, so what would you say to leaders who are struggling with this and they do want to implement, and like there's this balance.
So I would say don't make it a mandate. So it's not this, as a leader, I'm handing it down to you, you must do this. But let's put together some people to say, hey, I think we need to start using AI. What do you guys think we need to do? And how might we do it in a way that is transparent and doesn't break down trust? Because again, I think sometimes leaders sit in this silo in their office and they think, I'm going to do everything, instead of going out and walking around and saying, hey, you know, AI is here to stay. What can we do together so that people feel a part of it? That it's not something that you're mandating. It's something that I'm a part of. The adoption of AI is something that I had a say in.
Okay.
All right. So I think that's key, of bringing other people around. So it's not just you as a leader. So I think that's number one. Number two, I think, is asking for feedback. How is AI working for you? What are you seeing? What are you afraid of? What might we do to help you be better at using it to aid you instead of replace you?
Ooh.
Right?
Nice.
And so asking for feedback so that the employees know, oh, you get it. You hear me. You know I'm afraid. You understand my hesitancy, right? So because you're asking for my feedback, I'm going to give it to you. And then genuinely listening to that feedback and incorporating it maybe into training, into running scenarios. And then I think also saying and being honest and vulnerable as a leader. I used AI to help me figure this out, and oh my gosh, they got it wrong. They got it so wrong. Or this, I came up with these ideas, but AI really gave me this idea, which then led me to this idea. So as a leader, sharing some of your issues with AI as well, your failures and your successes.
I love that because it feels more integrative. It feels like it is something that is collaborative.
Yes.
And maybe not everyone can participate, but maybe there are ways to integrate additional support.
And to make them feel like they're included in the conversation.
Got it. Okay, so let's move to the next one.
Okay.
Rita, an HR manager, she sent us the following. I gave a new hire very direct instructions, expecting them to just follow through. Instead, they pushed back, asking why we did things this way. Where is this defiance coming from? How can we address this issue?
I love that she says, where's the defiance coming from? Because I immediately, as you were reading that to me, I thought, good for that employee. So that goes back to the mindset, right? I was like, good for that employee, asking why and tell me more. And why are we doing it this way? Let's try something new. We have to, as leaders and HR executives, start welcoming those conversations instead of shutting them down. And I think that is a huge mind shift. And it can depend on our experiences with other leaders and how we've seen that work in other situations. But it's not defiance. You know what it is? It's genuine curiosity. And that's what's key. Like, we want people to be curious. And we want to listen and think, oh, well, that's a really great question. Why do we always do it that way? And then say things like, do you have another idea? Do you think something else would work? And maybe it wouldn't. Maybe that idea won't work. But what if it did? Yeah. Can you imagine what if it did? So I would take that word of defiance out. It's not defiance. They're not being defiant or rebellious. They're being curious. And where's that curiosity coming from? Hopefully their brain and their heart, right? And
but
their
when people are curious, they are invested. I feel like if I'm curious about something, it's because I am leaning in. Whatever I'm not curious about, I separate myself from. So what a perspective. We can interpret it as defiance. Right. And it also, I think a lot of it is also context. Like there's why. Yeah. And then there's like, why?
Right. Right. It's the tone. Yeah. Right. It's the tone. I mean, even in a text message or an email, it's the tone and the facial experience, the facial expression. Thank you. The body language, right? All of that can come into play. So you could like, wow. I mean, that's defiance, right? But if it is leaning in, like you said, and tell me more about this system.
So I think it's a little bit, we don't know, Rita, what happened. We were not there. Maybe it was an email. That's the other part. Emails
Right.
sometimes are tricky.
Emails are very tricky. I have lately, I love this, been doing video.
Oh, I love that. Loom.
Yeah, I'm doing Loom or I'm recording a Zoom because then they can see my expression. They can hear my tone. I can do it really quickly. I feel like it's authentic. So I've been doing that and putting it in an email. I just attach them to an email because it's, to me, more human, right? Talking about connection, and you can maybe read it more as curiosity and not defiance.
Yeah, a little bit of both. Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Sandra, an HR director, wrote us this. In the same month, 2 things happened, and honestly, it shook our team. First, a Gen Z employee posted on LinkedIn about their struggles at work, talking about burnout and lack of support before even bringing those concerns to their manager or me. I felt blindsided. Then, another employee proudly shared online that they use AI for 70% of their workflow. Leadership panicked. They worried clients would assume we're cutting corners or replacing real expertise with automation. We say we value transparency and innovation. That's part of their culture.
Okay.
But when transparency shows up publicly, especially with AI in the mix, it suddenly feels like threatening. Are we losing control? How do we prepare for this type of visibility and exposure?
That's a lot to deal with in 1 month. Like, my heart goes out to them because that's a lot to deal with in 1 month. So there's one overarching issue that I would say, and that is you might say you value transparency and innovation, but what they're hearing from their employees is that they don't. Right? So as a leader, I could have it in the break room, those posters that say, oh, innovation is here, we blah, blah. That's great. It can come out in their mission statement. It can come out in a memo. But unless it is modeled and seen and heard and experienced from leadership, the employees aren't going to buy it, right? So because of what is happening, I would say they might think they're doing that, but their employees aren't buying it. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, I think one of the biggest issues here is psychological safety, if you know what that means. Like, it is, I don't feel safe enough. I don't feel open enough. I don't feel heard and welcomed enough to go into my boss, manager, whatever, and say, this is what I'm thinking. So I'm just going to post it online because I'm not feeling heard and I don't feel safe enough. Because what if I do say it and I get fired? So that would mean that the manager isn't being open enough to listen to that feedback and hear it.
But hold on. But like, here's where I have like a thing.
Okay.
How could they feel safe saying it to the internet, knowing that probably someone's gonna rat them out or like their boss is gonna see it? Like,
I don't know if people think that way.
That challenges that possibility because if you, I don't know if it's because of I'm a zillennial, like I'm like in between millennials and, like Gen Z. But it's like, people are going to see that. Aren't you like concerned that it's going to get to the wrong?
I don't know. My mother always taught me, don't burn bridges. I don't know if you ever heard that, but like don't burn bridges because you never know if you're going to be working for that person again or encountering that person again. And I don't necessarily know if that is still being touted. I think that a lot of people think I'm going to put it out into the universe, into the internet, and it's not going to get back. But we know most likely it will.
And the internet is forever, y'all. Like, they could even make memes about you. This is not funny. Like,
I agree. But I also think it's courage. There is a lack of, it doesn't take as much courage to put it online and hit send as it is to have a face-to-face conversation.
Yes.
That takes courage to walk into your employer, your boss, your manager, and say, I'm unhappy, and let me tell you why. Then click, 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 send. Right? So there's a sense of that connection and communication that we're lacking quite a bit. I mean, even The Atlantic had a huge article talking about how we are in an isolation crisis. So we're not connecting with each other. We're not trusting each other. So why not just put it out on the internet? And if it gets back to you, then you know what? You have to come to me.
Ooh.
I don't have to go to you.
Interesting. Yeah. I never thought about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because then someone is going to confront you about it rather than you
me having
confront.
Exactly.
Ugh.
So that is a different sense of conflict and courage and communication. So I think that's part of it. So dealing with that before we immediately jump to the shame on you employee, we need to think, what are we doing as an organization that is saying that that's okay, that that's easier for them than just coming to us and talking to us first.
Wow.
So I think that that's one. The other one, what was the other situation?
So one of them was that that was the burnout, putting it online,
Right,
that
yep.
felt blindsided. And the other one is that 70% of their workflow was done through AI.
Right. And if that's the case, first of all, I don't know if I would brag about that, because then that means that I'm really not needed, right? Like I said earlier, you want to be irreplaceable. And if you're saying that actually 75% of my job can be done by AI,
They're optimizing time.
and I agree with that. Absolutely 100%. That's what AI is there for. Optimize your time. Right. And I think as managers, we need to think, and leaders, we need to think, okay, so if 75% of their time can be done by AI, then what can I do? What might I do to help that employee be even more productive with their brain? Right. So then maybe as a leader, I'm not challenging my employees as much as I should be, because they can do most of this on AI. So what do I need to change, and how can I help? How can I mentor?
And how well is AI doing it? Because let's just be for real.
Well, of course, that is key.
Just saying.
No, and I agree, because I mean, even ChatGPT, what they have at that very bottom, like
They have a
please
disclaimer,
verify,
yeah, like
because we might make mistakes, and
this ain't perfect.
and they do make mistakes. But the fact that the employee thinks that they can do their job solely by AI almost makes me sad. Because if a lot of people want meaning and purpose in their job, that's not meaningful or purposeful. So as leaders, we got to think, what can we do to make it better?
There's so many different layers in this comment from
so
like,
many.
There's something they said, it was their worried clients would assume we're cutting corners or replacing real expertise with automation. So it's their perspective of, are we going to be perceived as liars, or that we're cheating our clients, which is a very valid,
completely valid
concern. And then there is industry specific, where maybe some information is not to be shared with AI because it's private information. There's so many different layers to this that it just feels like that's a loaded question.
Right. But and here's what I'm going to go back to. The bottom line is communication and connection in your leadership. So if we have a strong connection, if we have a place of a culture of openness and trust and respect, then those conversations, those tough conversations that you just brought up, they should be having those tough conversations together, working through this issue together, not online or in a cubicle right? But together, hey, we recognize the fact that these issues are happening, that our clients, our customers might see this. So how might we work on this together to solve this problem? That's what's missing, this collaboration of problem solving, working together, understanding that I can't do this alone. And that's what AI can't do.
Yeah.
That's what only humans can do.
That's the part. I feel like a thread between these two is trust, like lack of trust. And then like, what does transparency really mean?
Right. Well, and if there's a lack of trust, you've got to look back and think, where did that stem from, right? Is it legit that they really don't trust us? Or is there something else going on with them that's leading them to think that they can't trust the man, right? They can't trust the big corporation. So first, you've got to figure that out. What's at the heart of this lack of trust? And I think transparency, we can say we're transparent and we're not.
And yeah.
And that is a leadership issue as well, Diana. I mean, if you say, oh, I'm transparent, but staff knows that's what you're saying isn't true.
Yeah.
Then you're breaking everything down. You've got to really be genuinely transparent if you say you're going to be transparent.
Yeah. And then what are the rules of engagement? Like, meaning, like, what is okay to say? Because for some people, something might be a big deal, but for some people, that's like, regular Tuesday in the afternoon. Like, that's not a big deal. So the perception of what is okay to say out loud, what is kept inside, like,
Yeah, I mean, listen, as a CEO, I know there are things that I can share with my staff and things I can't share with my staff,
yeah,
right? And that's just life. I mean, that's part of business. I can't share everything with everyone, and that's okay. But there are things that I can share that might help ease some of the fear and the sense of lack of trust. But I think also being honest with your staff and saying, I wish I could share everything with you, but I just can't right now. I will when I can.
yeah,
When I can. But right now I can't. But here's what I can tell you. See, because I'm still being honest,
yeah,
right? I'm still not saying, I'm going to be transparent and then keep secrets.
yeah,
I'm going to say, look, I know I can't tell you everything and I wish I could, but here's what I can tell you.
yeah.
And then making sure that that's honest.
Yeah, and I wish they would have sent us a little bit more context into things, because it feels very, I don't know what I don't know, and every situation is
making assumptions.
Yeah, every situation is so unique into what they share and how they share it. Or is it a moment that they just needed to vent out and it wasn't a big deal necessarily for work? But anyways, okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay, I'm ready.
Here comes the famous or infamous ChatGPT question.
Okay.
Lena, an HR director, sent us this. I just found out several managers are using ChatGPT to write performance reviews. No one disclosed it. Some of the feedback was generic and clearly AI generated. I am torn. I have a few questions. Where is the ethical line when it comes to AI in leadership communication? And how should HR guide managers in using AI without outsourcing empathy?
Man, these questions that we're getting are deep. They're good questions. So here's a couple things I would say. Number one, ChatGPT or any of those, Claude and all the other,
Yeah, Gemini.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them now. Like we said earlier, they're here to stay. And if they can help you be efficient, fantastic. But if you are not using your own sense of deeper thinking and using it to think, oh, no, wait, that's not what I would say, or, oh, no, that's not right, or that's not genuine, then AI is doing a disservice in your responses.
Yeah.
I know from being a CEO and working with leaders that performance reviews are incredibly time consuming. And I think some of the better ones are ones where you say to the employee, tell me what you've done over the last year. Because I don't know everything. I'm not there all the time. I don't know everything you've accomplished that you feel proud of, that you wish you could have done better. So putting that, first of all, and saying, for time management reasons, you tell me more, right? Then I think if you want to put that into ChatGPT and you want to put in specifics, here's what I think about Diana. I think that she can do blah, 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 blah. She's done this one. And now write me a letter or an evaluation with these facts I've just given you, this data I've just given you. That can be time consuming to write all that. That can really be a time saver for you, right? But if you put in, Diana is a hard worker. She has a good attitude.
Yeah, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste.
Copy, paste, copy. And I'm going to know as the employee that you don't know me.
Yeah.
There's no examples. There's no data. There's no authentic reflection. And so I'm going to go back to training, right? Mentoring. I'm big on mentoring, Diana. I think mentoring is the key, and mentoring people on how to use it. So if we mentor, you want to use it for your evaluations, great. Here's what you need to do. You need to have these specific examples. You need to have this data. You have to have then allow it to maybe put it into the format you want it in.
So what I'm hearing you say is there is an ethical way to integrate AI into these things. And I think leadership gets to create that prompt type of a thing.
Yes.
Like, in order for you to have something that is within our standards first, you get to have this information, input that, input your thoughts, input this, and then have it written.
Generate
like
something for
something
you.
And then read it, edit it.
Yes.
And because as someone who has used ChatGPT plenty, I can tell you there's times that I'm like, dude, it would have taken me less time if I'd have written it myself. Because like, damn girl, it's not working. This is not what I want.
Right.
And it's more of like, am I prompting it properly? Am I giving it the feeling, the tone, the reason, the context? And and sometimes it goes rogue. It's just like,
it does.
And no.
But if you don't read it and you don't have your own ownership in your thinking,
you're putting your sign, like the manager is signing that. And if it's not
accountability.
Yeah.
Accountability. And if it's not there, then it's useless. Then I don't, as your employee, talk about trust.
Yeah.
We keep going back to this idea of trust and respect. Then I'm not going to trust you because you didn't even put any effort into this. You don't know me. This is ChatGPT. This is generic. Now I'm ruining that relationship, that trust that we had as boss and employee. So as a leader, we've got to balance this.
Wow. And like the word outsourcing empathy.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what makes us human. That's what distinguishes us from AI, is because we should be able to have the empathy. We can't outsource that. We can't outsource our thinking. That's ours. Before we continue, let me ask you, are you ready to spark curiosity, activate creativity and critical thinking, all while boosting connection? I invite you to join my Deeper Thinking newsletter. You'll get a free copy of Deeper Thinking Made Simple. Here we teach leaders how to show up for modern teams. You can get all of this at katietrowbridge.com/research study. I promise you'll love it. Now, back to the episode.
And what would you say, ethical AI, like what would you say to leaders that are saying this, but they're putting profit over humans?
Then I would say it's not ethical. Right?
It's a nice word to put in the resume, but
correct. Correct. You can say I'm being ethical, but that doesn't mean you are being ethical, right? And so we've got to make sure that we are saying what we truly believe and mean. And if you don't mean that, then don't say it.
Simple, people, just saying. Okay, next. This one's interesting.
Okay.
An anonymous comment. I'm an HR director and I just found out one of our employees runs an OnlyFans account. It's legal, but our industry is conservative. How should leaders navigate situations where personal choices collide with brand perception? And what principles can guide HR in protecting both the company and the individual dignity? Policies.
So we have all these policies. Do you ever read it? I mean, when you ever let's say you download a new software or a new game and you have to accept the terms and conditions, do you really pull it up and read the terms and conditions?
Lately, I have been,
Okay, good.
Copy paste. No. This is what I've been doing. I copy paste them into ChatGPT and I'm like, can you please tell me, like, what should I be aware of? Is there anything, like, just summarize because a lot of it can feel very like lawyer, legal.
Legalese,
like,
yeah.
I don't understand. Can like somebody like dumb it down for like,
Yep.
for me and let me know, like, am I like giving away my first child and like my kidney in the process? Like,
right.
So.
Right. And you have to realize that that's how most people feel. Right? I mean, the fact that you even copy and paste and put it in ChatGPT is above and beyond. Like a lot of people just like hit accept, scroll, hit accept, and they're done.
Yeah.
Right? And so because of that, people they don't know the policies. They don't know the expectations. So they may...
But they're signing them though.
Correct. But they might not know it. I mean, they're signing it. Yes, they are. But are we taking the time to explain it to them? So we just bought a new home. Okay. And we have mortgage papers where, like,
yeah, I remember that.
Right? And you're signing. But there's someone, if you have a good person, underwriter next to you, they're saying, this document says this. Let me point out these important things to you that you need.
They have their own ChatGPT guy.
They do. They do, right? So I think as HR and the leaders, we have to say, here's what you're signing. Here's the policies that we have here at this organization. Here's what we believe. Here's what we value. So I need you to make sure, number one, number two, number three. so that you're highlighting it so that people can hear. Think about when you were in school, right? You had to hear and see and sometimes feel something before you actually understood it and learned it. I'm going to totally date myself right now. But when I was getting my degree in English, it was 1 week where we had to read 7 books in 1 week because of my different courses that I had. Do you remember, you probably don't remember this because you're younger than I am, but the Cliff Notes, they were like yellow and you had to go buy them because we didn't have the internet. So you'd buy them and you'd read, 30 pages instead of the 300, and it would talk about similar. We need Cliff Note versions. People's attention span, like 7 seconds or something like that. I mean, it's so short. So if we're not helping people understand that, then we can't expect them to. We just need to know that. People are not reading those terms. They're not. So if we accept that, then we need to make sure people understand it. And here's how people will understand it.
But that does not excuse them. It's like me saying, oh, I did not see that red light. Like I don't know if I'm just like,
no, and I totally hear you. So there is accountability. There is accountability.
If you didn't read them, so sorry.
But did you learn? What did you learn about red lights?
Like you stop at the red light, damn it.
Right. Were you taught that?
Yes.
Correct. But didn't
if
just
I didn't
all of a
see
sudden,
it, I cannot just go to the police guy and
that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying.
Oh, I didn't see it, so therefore.
In order to get a driver's license, did you need to know what a red light was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So before you work here, you need to understand that these are our values. And hang on, I'm going to say one more thing. Before you become devil's advocate again. It's reinforced all the time. Every time you see a red light, it doesn't change. You don't see red light means stop. Oh, but now purple light means stop. Oh, no, now orange light means stop. It doesn't change. These are our values. This is what we stand for as an organization. It's not going to change. And if it does change, I better make sure that my staff knows and understands why that just changed.
Okay. So, but now let's put it into context. Because I think context matters here.
Okay.
We don't know the industry.
Right.
It would be nice if they put their industry people, for the love of God. But here's the thing. Let's say it's a school and it's a teacher, and the teacher has an OnlyFans thing.
Yep.
Like teaching high schoolers,
yep.
right? Like people who understand what that is. Boys that are age of like finding things on the internet.
Yep.
Like even if you did not read the terms, it's kind of like common sense.
Is it?
Isn't it?
I mean, your common sense might not be my common sense, Diana.
That's why it's common sense. But it's common sense. Like for me, it's like I don't know, like to me, that's common sense.
I think we have to stop making assumptions about how people think and what people know.
Holy crap.
I know, but here's the thing. Like, I think we just have to communicate as much as we can. You know how I constantly say we have a thinking crisis. We are in a thinking crisis. So if we can't make the assumptions that people are thinking because we have a thinking crisis. And let's put it in context. I hear you and I get it, but I also think we can't go into this in an idealistic way, right? So let's go back to your school.
So let's say it's a Catholic school.
Right.
Would that be more of a common sense?
No, I don't know.
OnlyFans is okay, like to have an OnlyFans account.
For that person it is, but for my school it's not. But for that teacher, that educator, that staff worker, whatever, it is okay. So I've got to make sure I'm communicating
in black and white
and verbally and even in what we model. Right? So as a leader, I model that that's not okay because I wouldn't have one. And the reason I wouldn't have one is because I don't want it to look negatively
or reflect a different culture
on my organization. So if I can communicate that I value honesty or I value what we say on social media versus what we don't. I mean, we have to be really careful with that, right? Because people want their independence. People want to be who they want to be, and we want to respect that and honor that. But then we need to make sure that our organization knows it's not okay. And I think that's hard. I think it's a huge fine line that we're walking on this one because what's in my personal life and what's in my professional life, they're blurring now.
Yeah.
It used to be very, very clear because you didn't know what was going on at home. Now you do. And I think we have to accept that we do that as employees. We have to know that. There was a story not that long ago about a teacher who went on vacation and took a couple personal days, went on vacation. And again, the personal days were like sick days, right? Okay. And went to the beach, put pictures on social media with her in a bikini and blah, blah, blah. And sure, well, okay, you just took sick days because you said you were sick. But we know people do that all the time, right? You could have done that 10 years ago and nobody would have known the difference. Now, people are like, wait, you just posted it on Facebook. You just put it on Instagram. We all can see it. So we have to understand as people that we are putting what we choose to put out there
It's public.
is public and everybody's going to see it. So is that the image that I want? And if I know my organization doesn't necessarily go with that image, I'm going to be caught in it's that thinking again. It's that critical and creative thinking. And people aren't thinking.
OnlyFans, like people have to pay. It's not like it's public. People have to be paying for that service. So
Right.
it's still, it implies, like what it implies can be read.
And you better be
multiple ways.
really clear when you're hiring that that is not acceptable. You got to be clear on that. And again, I'm going to go back to people don't read what they're signing. So you need to verbally say to them, this is what's expected, this is what's not expected, this is what's okay, and this is what's not okay. And then you better make sure you're modeling it so that you're not having a fans only page and scolding others for having it.
And how should leaders navigate the situations where personal choices collide with brand perception? Like, what would you tell this person?
You know, it's interesting when you use the word brand because a lot of our research now is showing that personal branding is more important than your resume. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's the...
And so I think that there's even a study that just came out that said people want personal branding from doctors and lawyers. It's not influencers, right? It is, who are you? And I want to know that what you have out there in the public is something that I can trust. We've got to realize that, Diana, that people are watching us and taking what we say to heart. And that's our personal branding. And instead of it just being personal, then professional, they're merging. And so if that's the case, we've got to make sure that we are thinking, reflecting, knowing what we're putting out there for everybody to see and to learn about us. Are we showing up with integrity? Are we someone who people will trust? Not only my neighbor next door or the person who watches my dog or my kid's teacher, but also my boss, my mom, my grandparent, right? And that's the idea when you said branding, it really hit me is because it's a personal brand that we have now.
But for this leader, I'm going to assume, let's say it's not a school, it's like a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And, you know, the word they used was that they're very conservative, like a nonprofit, something that they help kids or something. And then they're put into this mix. What would you tell this person about how to navigate this?
So obviously communication. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to call you in. I'm going to say, tell me about this. Tell me more about why you're doing this, because I think that that's key as well.
That she walks into a room full of pictures of her. I'm just kidding.
But like, if I don't understand why do
confront
you
you
have
about
that page? What are you trying to accomplish with that page? And asking the person, do you think that what you're putting online is reflecting negatively on our business? See, part of the issue is we are in that mindset of this is what I believe, therefore you have to believe the same thing. And I think that that's getting us to the situation that we're in our world, in our workplaces, in our homes. Instead of saying, this is what we believe, but I see you believe something different. Can you help me understand the gap that seems to exist right here? And that to me is so meaningful. Help me understand what you're thinking. Help me understand this gap between here's what I think and here's what you think. Here as a company, we believe that that's not okay, but you seem to believe it is okay. Help me understand that. And we might still differ. I might still say, take it down. You want to continue working here? Take it down. But I've listened, I've heard, I've understood. Maybe we need to change our policy. Maybe we won't. But you still feel heard, not take it down, you're fired.
Well,
It's a hard one. That is a really, really tough one. I think that exists in every organization, right? These are the things we believe and these are the things our employees believe. And those might be polar opposites.
yeah.
How do we navigate that? By listening and communicating and authentically having empathy, then making decisions.
You know, as you were saying that is this one of the questions is, what principles can guide HR in protecting both company and individual dignity? And it's based on what you said, is having clear standards of the definitions of each of the principles, like transparency. What does that mean for that organization?
Right.
Dignity. What does that mean for that organization? Like a very important exercise I feel it's necessary is to have people give the definition that they think, because for example, my definition of success could be completely different than yours.
Different.
And success is this word that gets thrown around as if it's like confetti and like everybody's trying to achieve it. But success for someone could just mean having all the time in the world to do what they love.
Mm-hmm.
While another person is having all the money of the world and they don't care about their time.
Right.
And it's like how do we define one specific thing to guide us towards, are we going, they could have the exact same word,
right,
but have opposite definitions.
Right. And even a written definition, Diana, could be interpreted in different ways.
Yeah.
That's why I keep saying leaders have got to model it. They've got to model it. It's got to be seen on a daily basis. It's got to be heard. So you might have a great quote on the wall or in your office or whatever. But if you are modeling and leading a totally different thing than what that quote is saying, I mean, go back to trust and respect. I'm not going to trust you or respect you. So it's got to go both ways.
Coherence.
Oh, it has to be. And it has to be communicated in a way that is relevant and meaningful and that makes sense. Not we are going to be respectful, period. Okay, well, what does that mean? What do you mean be respectful? And respect works both ways. Trust works both ways. So even as an employee, if you're not being open and honest, don't expect your leaders to be open and honest.
Yeah. It's a both way street. It's a two-way street.
Yep.
Dude, good luck on that.
I know.
Okay, let's talk money.
Okay.
Frank shared, one of our Gen Z employees posted their salary on TikTok and encouraged others to do the same. It created chaos.
Yep.
Half the team was upset about pay gaps we weren't ready to discuss publicly. Mm-hmm. Should I treat this as activism or insubordination? And how can leaders respond productively instead of defensively?
So I'm gonna pull in my education background a little bit here. You know, educators, they are paid on a scale, right? So they have a grid, basically, and you are paid how many years of experience you have, how much education you have. That's your box. That's much you're paid. That's public. You can go online and see what any educator, principal, superintendent, you can see what they're paid, okay? There's the other side of that says, well, wait a minute, that teacher just sits there, reads a newspaper, and hardly does anything. They get the same salary as I do, or I'm working my butt off. So there doesn't seem to be any right way for this. But what I think is clear, and in education, a lot of schools use Danielson, and Danielson has a rubric. And to me, that makes so much more sense. So here's your rubric. And what I mean by a rubric is it's a grid again, but it is specific points that you have to obtain in order to get the rating that you want. So in culture, in your classroom, here's what you're doing. In content, here's what you're doing. In communication, here's what you're doing. And based on that score, this will help you with your salary. This can help you with your bonus. I think that people have to be okay sharing it. Companies have to be okay with the fact that, people talk. I don't care if it's online or if it's in the getting coffee in the break room. People are going to talk. It's just the way it is. I'm getting paid this much. How much you getting paid? I think it's gonna exist.
Yeah.
And as much as we've been raised that you don't share salary, just like you don't share your weight,
or your age,
or your age, it still happens. Some people are comfortable sharing it. Some people aren't. And as an organization, you got to be prepared for that. Number one.
No, I mean,
It's going to happen.
I'm just a passenger here. Like,
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So here's what I'm going to say. That trust and vulnerability has to be there, right? And you have to be able to back it up. So, I would have students, or I would have some of my staff come in and say, tell me why. Why am I getting paid? Why am I not getting this big of a raise? If I don't say, and here's what I can't stand of, well, just because that's all we have. That's all the money we have in our budget. No, that's not good enough. I want to know why so-and-so got 5% and I got 3.5%. Okay, I can tell you specifically. Let me show you. In this category, this is what we needed you to do, and this is what you did. In this category, this is what you said you were going to do, but actually you did it 2 months later. There has to be this open, honest conversation. Here are my expectations. Here's what you did. And that is therefore tied to how much you're getting paid, your salary, your compensation, your benefits, that kind of thing. But if I'm not going back to transparent and open and honest, and there's not this clear evaluation, let's go back to the ChatGPT, right? My evaluation didn't tell me anything. It just told me the same old thing. I had an employee ask me the other day, actually, it was asking me for some feedback because on their review, they had perfect scores, but they know that they're being paid less than the person in the cubicle next to them who doesn't work as hard as they work. And when they went to HR and they went to their director and asked specifically, what would you like me to do? How can I do better? They're like, oh no, you're doing a great job. Everything's great. And she's like, well, then why am I not getting paid like so-and-so? And they, that like, you're breaking up, I can't hear you. See, and then like, oh, okay.
I think we're going through a tunnel.
Yeah, sorry, even though you're sitting right next to them, right? That goes back to that vulnerability, that trust, that honesty. I'm going to say back to this person, was it Lena? Whatever.
Frank.
I'm going to say back to Frank. Frank, you are not being as open and honest as you need to be with your leaders or with your employees. Start there first. Make sure there are clear expectations, clear guidelines for what I want you to do so that when they do share, they're going to talk. That's just a fact. They're going to share it online. They're going to talk. That you're prepared and able to show specifically, here's what I need from you. Here's what you're doing great. Here's what I need from you.
And is this activism or unsubordination?
I think it's a little bit of both. Honestly, I mean, I think if we've been raised to say you don't share your salary, then there's a little bit of insubordination to it. But I also think
I think like that's our generation.
Correct.
That's what we were taught. We don't like there's certain things that you don't talk about. You don't talk about money, you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about religion. Period. The end. And that's kind of like and
we were taught that from a young age. But that's not the case anymore. You're right.
It's not the case. Like, and I think like it's okay for it not to be the case. It's just like, can we reset the agreement? And then is there transparent? Like, we're talking about authenticity and transparency. Okay, those are beautiful words, but they require certain actions.
And they require us to be vulnerable. And they require us as leaders to say, you're right. I messed up on this one. I didn't realize you weren't getting paid as much as so-and-so. Holy cow, I got to rectify that.
You're all fired.
Right. That person has just gotten cut $20,000 on their salary. No, I mean, but admitting that, right? Saying, I'm really glad you brought this to my attention. You are absolutely right. Let me reevaluate this and get back to you on this. Not just because I said so.
Well, that's all the questions I have for today, but they were like tough.
These are tough questions because I don't think there's any right or wrong answer to any of these, right? I think it's a matter of the culture in your business, the culture of your leadership style. What are you trying to cultivate in your organization? Like, so much of that depends on, like, I'd love to have a conversation with each one of these people, right? Bring them on and let me talk to each one so that we can really understand the context and what's going on. And I can really evaluate, well, here's what's happening. Here's the culture that you are showing, and that's not being modeled.
Yeah. This is just revealing the blind spots in their organization. And I think there's an opportunity for them to listen and get curious.
Oh, yeah. and start thinking in creative and critical ways, right? So that if we bring people into the conversation and not think that I have to, as a leader, do this alone. And I want to say kudos to everybody who sent in their questions to us. I mean, that's vulnerability as well, right? I know as a leader, I need some help with this. I'm going to ask a question.
Beautiful. So that's it for me from my side.
All right. Well, thank you. This has been challenging and illuminating because, I help organizations that feel stuck replace stagnation with innovation by building deeper thinking leaders who mentor thought rather than just managing tasks. In this episode, hopefully we gave you some new perspectives. And if we did, share it with your colleagues who might be navigating these exact same challenges we talked about today. And remember to subscribe because there's going to be even more conversations that our goal is to bring humanity back to leadership.